What's up guys, I'm Sean. Today I'm going to be installing this anytime front and rear backup camera kit on my 2021 Toyota Tacoma. This unit is plug and play to the back of my stereo system. This is an OEM looking switch. This is the premium upgraded camera. We're going to start inside the truck by removing the deck. It should be as simple as pulling this off. No tools required for this. 4 10mm bolts right here. Remove the bolts and then pull out the deck. I have a 2021 Toyota Tacoma with the navigation. So I'm going to unplug in the middle right here. And that plugs directly into the RCA wire. Plug this into here. And then I plug this into my deck. The wiring harness with the red and orange wire actually plugs in to the plug on the far right. The one on the far left, looking at the deck from this position, is not used, and the one on the far left is the same connector as the far right, so it can be really confusing. So make sure you use the connector on this side and the connector in the middle. Don't use this connector. Plug that into there, and then plug this to the back of my deck. But the switching relay, male RCA, is going to plug into the video harness female. The video harness male is going to plug into the switching relay that has the black mark. 3 wires left on the relay. The female RCA is going to go to the male RCA of the front camera. But before I do that, I'm going to go to the engine bay and snake this through. Here's the front camera. We're going to mount this later. This plug goes into the front camera and the wire comes all the way with this RCA. So we're going to feed this end of the RCA wire through the engine bay behind the dash. At a good spot to poke a hole is through this rubber grommet right here. Let's look inside the truck. I taped the end of the RCA wire to a screwdriver and I just forced it through. There it is. Now I'm going to snake this RCA behind the dash and up and out through here. I just ran to the hardware store, picked up some butt splice for about 16 to 14 gauge wire, some ring terminals for the ground, the green wire from the relay, and the green wire from the switch ties into the red wire from the RCA. The blue wire from the switch goes to the blue wire from the wiring harness. Gray from the switch goes to the gray from the wiring harness. Orange goes to orange. Red goes to red. And this is because I have the 2021 model. And now what's left from the switch is a black wire. And what's left from the relay is a black wire. So I'm going to tie these two together and I'm going to find a ground. Before I do that, I'm going to wrap up all the RCA connections and all my butt connectors with black tape just to make sure that it stays put. And then the ground I combine together with a butt connector to one wire, and I'm going to run the ground later. But for now, all the wiring is done, and now I can just tuck it all away and push the deck back in. If I was going to run this switch down here, it would be easy because it's close to the deck, but I don't have any spare spots. Some people just maybe pop this off and stick it in the back, put this here, but I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm going to go here. Perfect spot right there. Now the only thing is I have to make sure all the wiring is long enough to go underneath here and go left to over here. I'm going to remove this kick panel to get more access. Pop this off. Plastic nut right here that you can take off by hand. Pop this off. 3 10mm bolts. And the whole thing just pulls off. I did this the other day when I installed my Red Arc electric trailer brake controller. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check it out. Just mount the anytime switch into this spot right here. Alright, I have to pop this off the relay just so it's smaller, and I was able to snake it through behind the dash, and it's all here. And it's long enough to get to my switch down here. Reinstall the 4 bolts and put that cover on and just focus on down here now. I zip tie all the wires and the relay in there, tucked it away cleanly. Make sure that it doesn't interfere with the brake or the steering column or anything like that. And this is the plug to the new anytime camera switch. So I can just plug this all up and get my ground wire ready. This is all put back together. Switch is installed. The only thing left to do in here is the ground. So I'll put a ring terminal on the end of the ground, and I'm gonna ground it to this spot right here, the existing ground block. So just remove that 10mm bolt right there, and I'll put the ground there. The inside is pretty much done. Now we just have to go and mount the camera. This premium camera can be mounted vertical or horizontal. So let's see where we're gonna mount this. Now on the TRD Pro, there's a camera that mounts here, but it's a different shape camera, and there's a special bracket that mounts here. So this shape is different. So if I were to mount it here, I would have to do a custom bracket. And if I mount it here, it may block the sensor a little bit. Some people don't have any issues with blocking the TSS, but some people do. So I'm kind of leaning towards mounting it right here, because in the corner of the TSS, this is pretty much dead space. So feed the wire through. I just have to put the little pad there and get this ready. The camera comes with a bunch of these little pads with a little bit of adhesive. They have different thickness, which is kind of nice, and it's a little angled up. Smaller angle, angled. This is flat. So that's pretty cool. And a lock nut. Front camera's installed, and I tighten down the nut. I zip tie the wire to the existing TSS wire back there and just followed it. I need to cut the zip ties later. And I'm going to cut the white wire because I'm using this as a front-facing camera. This plugs into the front camera. So I spoke to Brian at Anytime Backup Camera, and he says that I don't need to use the red wire. I don't need to get power to the fuse block. And inside the truck as well, I don't need to tap into any power wire. The whole unit is going to get power from the plug-and-play wire harness behind the deck. So we're not going to use the red wire. The only thing we're going to use is the black wire for ground, and plug this up to the camera. So again, I'm not using the red wire, so I just taped it up, tucked it away. All I have to do is ground it, which I added a ring terminal right here, and I can either ground it right here or down here. And now I'm tucking the wire into this sleeve just to clean it up a little bit. And the camera wire that's plugged in, note that the little arrow goes with the little arrow right there. Alright guys, everything done. Camera is mounted. You can see the TSS sensor right there, and my camera is off to the side, so I know it won't block the sensor. I zip tied the wires with the TSS sensor all the way up and around and down here, and I tucked it away behind the battery, and the ground mounts right there. Let's do a test. I'll put the truck into accessory mode. Front camera. Boom, my messy garage. And those grid lines, I can cut one of the wires to get rid of those grid lines. I may do that later, but for now it's okay. Let's go to the rear camera. Here's the rear camera. Let's go to everything off. Go to reverse. So there you have it. Install is done. What's nice about the front camera is that it's good for maneuvering in tight spots. It's good for parallel parking. It's also good when I go off-roading, because sometimes when I'm going up a crazy hill, I can't see over my hood, so I don't know what's behind the hill. If I'm driving down the freeway and I'm towing a trailer, and if I just want to double check my trailer when my truck is in drive, I could just click it to reverse, and then I could take a look at my trailer. What's nice is that I didn't have to tap and get power from inside the truck or in the fuse box in the truck. The plug-and-play wire harness provided the power. So the installation was pretty straightforward. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Check the reverse. Clear.